Hello and welcome to a new episode of Airport CEO here on BongoPlanes, where our focus remains on Terminal 3, and the big challenge is, can we put the finishing touches to that terminal? Can we finish our construction site at Terminal 3? Well, let's see how far we get right after the drop. As always, before we get too far into today's video, if you should end up enjoying this episode, then don't forget to leave a like. That would be very much appreciated. And of course, if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe? That would be absolutely awesome. Alright, so the first task I would like to tackle is actually adding some de-icing pads, because right now all our de-icing pads are at the same area over at our northernmost runway. So any aircraft that are coming from E or G or even parts of C, if they actually would like to use some of the two parallel runways, they would have to go all the way over to the de-icing pads and then back again, and that's a lot of unnecessary taxiing and could cause some congestion as well on our taxiways. So to avoid that, we need to add a few more de-icing pads, but obviously we don't have much space. So I'm, for example, using here the area between E and C concourse, because obviously in real life there is the option of also having de-icing taking place within the stand. So for example, in London Heathrow they do that, they de-ice the aircraft right at the gate. We don't have the option of that in the game, so I'm thinking using the space here in the center would be a great alternative to that. Alright, so since we are progressing rather nicely with our new areas at Terminal 3, I think it is time to also sign a few more airlines. The first thing I want to sign is actually this vanilla game airline, but that's just because it has the DHC6, which will be perfect for our small stands, and we did actually also have them signed earlier before a hard reset. Then Tarom, I think, could be a nice airline to get in here, as well as Middle Eastern Airlines. Air Baltic is also definitely a visitor at Copenhagen Airport. Let's see, what else can we find here? Hong Kong Airlines. I don't think they actually fly in reality, but just to get a few more wide bodies in. And Croatia Airlines, that was a wish of one of the viewers as well. And Alitalia, I mean, they do kind of still fly around. It's a wonder that the company still exists. Volatility could also be a lovely addition here to the airport. And then it might seem a bit trivial, but since we have constructed all these new things, it is actually rather important that we also make sure that they are zoned correctly. So all of this is obviously part of Terminal 3 and should be zoned as such, so that there is no confusion. This also means that all the staff and vehicles assigned to the terminal will be servicing these areas, including, for example, here also our remote stands. And all these new gates that will become available do of course also require more GSE, so we need to make sure that we have enough equipment to service all of these areas. Otherwise, if we start opening them up, we will have a big mess. We will have a huge chaos, because all the GSE that we have at the moment will just not be able to serve all these new additional gates. So it is very important to make sure that you do have enough GSE, which I also very many times have experienced quite painfully. So yeah, always make sure that you have enough GSE. Obviously it's easier when you are in sandbox, because then it doesn't really cost you anything if you're playing the game like the correct way. Obviously this does come at a cost, so that you also need to balance how much GSE you have with the cost, but definitely that's not a place to save money in my opinion. And then, since we already are here at the Landside, another thing that I really wanted to work on here is actually, the Landside and the drop-off zones, and actually adding a few more parking spaces also for staff. Also here over at Terminal 2, just to improve that and to hopefully, I mean, at least to some degree, finish the Landside up as well. And we do still have a bit of space left here that we should definitely use for that purpose. Obviously, this is also important to make sure that you don't get any backlogs with passengers arriving and especially passengers leaving. So make sure that you always have enough bus stops, taxi drop-offs and car drop-offs, and also of course parking short-term as well as long-term. And I'm also adding or have added a few parking spaces for staff. I don't know how necessary they are, but hey, it definitely doesn't hurt anyone to have some parking spaces reserved for your staff as well. But let us move inside again, because the main focus should remain at the insides of Terminal 3, because we really would like to get to a point where we are at least very close to completing that part of the airport. So we still have a few gates here that are completely unserved with boarding desks and waiting areas, so we need to fix that up. We are kind of following the same structure as we have with so many other parts of the airport, where we have the boarding desk and the waiting area kind of walled off, or at least a little bit separated from the rest of the terminal or airport areas. So that is very much following the structure that we see in the other terminals and areas of the airport. Then of course we again have a little bit space left, but that's not too bad, because that we can again use to our advantage, because as always the passengers will have some needs that need to be fulfilled, and one of the most important needs is simply that they can relieve themselves when they need to. So of course that means bathrooms. Another need that passengers might have once in a while is, well, the urge to do some shopping once in a while, but for that we need to prepare the area a little bit more. And while we are doing that, we can also talk a little bit about what's going on the channel itself. Obviously right now we are very much busy still with reviewing the latest Harper Wings models. Reviewing the latest reviews, that's a good one. No, but reviewing the latest Harper Wings releases. And of course, maybe you know it, the Friday just before this episode, I dropped a little bit of a special video. It's a giveaway video. It's an unboxing video and a giveaway video. So if you haven't watched that, I very much recommend you to check that out. Obviously right now we are celebrating that we have reached 4K subscribers here on YouTube and 6K followers over on Instagram. So that's obviously super nice. It's awesome to have all that support from all of you guys. And that's why we are doing a giveaway. So if you haven't seen that yet, then definitely do head over afterwards and check out that video. I will let the video pop up here somewhere in the right corner. And of course also a link to it in the description below, so that you can check it out if you would like to join or enter the giveaway. Alright, so to the right of the main central lounge, which is the Starlines and SAS lounge, which of course exists also like this in real life, you actually have a rather large area where there are plenty of shops and I think also a few cafes and restaurants. So that's the area I would like to recreate. And it's not just shops. I mean, yes, it is a bit of a shopping hell. At least that's my feeling of it. But there are also a few other things there. There are some waiting areas, which is not very common for Copenhagen Airport, at least waiting areas that are not right at the gate. But there's actually a transfer center, which we won't recreate here, because there isn't really a point in that, because there's no one transferring flights here. But that's also actually rather nice, with a little bit of a garden. So I kind of want to recreate this whole feel this area of the airport has. So obviously a lot of shops, some cafes and restaurants, and then like this waiting lounge area that is outside of a lounge, so that it is accessible for all passengers regardless of what airline or what ticket they might hold. And we can try to be a little bit creative with that and try to, yeah, make it, well, nice, looking nice and have a nice feel to it. So let's see, hopefully we can create something that works. And of course, I do have some ulterior motives, because I don't just want to have it to look nice. Obviously that would be great if it does, but there are a few other things that I would like to achieve. And I mean, the main thing I would like to achieve, we've mentioned it a few times, is I would like to have this damn 5-star rating that I just haven't achieved so far. I don't think I've have achieved it with any of the airports that I've created so far. I assume that it is possible. It must be possible. Obviously, I don't think I can reach it only with having like these waiting areas and shops. But I think it is a big part of that you try to always have the needs of the passengers fulfilled. Another thing is, of course, we need to at some point also really look into the statistics to see where do we lose points, where are the things not working properly, are there some delays somewhere, and if so, why, to try to get top ratings everywhere. That, of course, I think is the main area we need to focus on to get this 5-star rating. But if there's something you have noticed so far that I maybe not doing, or that I should be doing to get that 5-star rating, then I would very much appreciate your feedback in the comment section below. Because ultimately, if we don't get this 5-star rating, the airport will still be nice and enjoyable, but there will be just some airlines that we can't sign because they unfortunately only become available with a 5-star rating. One of them, for example, being United Airlines. But there are probably or definitely also a few other airlines that so far just haven't popped up in the game, and simply because we don't have the proper rating for it. So yeah, if you have seen anything, if you have any input, then as always, it's very much appreciated if you leave it in the comment section below. I can profit from it, but maybe also other viewers that are working on airports. So share your knowledge. This is hopefully a place where we can all come together and learn from each other. And there is kind of a contradiction in all of this, because we have tried to replicate Copenhagen Airport, and that means there are a few places where we know that there are bottlenecks, and we have willingly built them or constructed them that way. Which might come now back to bite us, obviously. But still, I hope that we can somehow achieve this 5-star rating. But there are also, of course, and we have already done some compromises, there are places where we perhaps do need to make even further compromises. So right now we're here in the area that is basically connecting Terminal 2 up with Terminal 3. It's to the right of the main security check. So working here on another restaurant. But we do also have a few more spaces just below that, where I was planning to have 3 shops. But I think we will change that up a bit. Because, I mean, right now our security checks work. There might sometimes be a little bit congestion, but nothing too bad, nothing that should drop our ratings. But if we get many more aircraft in, that might become a problem in the future. So I'm preparing for that by adding a few more security checks, which are still walled off. So no one's gonna go over there, they're closed, but they're just there in case we need to have more. That's obviously not how the airport looks in real life, but we might have to do more of these compromises if we want to achieve this 5-star rating. So therefore, we've prepared that now. In case we need more security checks here, we are able to open up a bit. And then we have this last space left here. And instead of adding another shop here, because obviously, I mean, technically we can add as many shops as we want, but if we don't have enough passengers for the amounts of shops, the shops will just constantly close, and that's not a good thing either. So I was thinking adding another lounge here, because lounges will definitely help us with our ratings with the airlines, and passengers do also like them, so that should be a win-win. I've been thinking a little bit about who should get the lounge. Ultimately I decided for Lufthansa, but we will have many more lounges, so there will also be lounges for other airlines. Alright, so I think with that we have achieved quite a bit today. So while I'm just quickly going through some of the contracts here, I think it is time to end today's episode. Of course, if you have any feedback, as always, it's very much appreciated. Put it down in the comment section below. If there's anything else you would like to get off your chest, down in the comment section below. And with that, I would like to say thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you soon again in the next episode of Airport CEO. Until then, I'm checking out, and bye.